The mining colony on Kepler 442b had been humanity's pride for 3 years. 200 families lived there, working the rich mineral deposits that would fuel Earth's expansion into the galaxy. Children played in the artificial gardens while their parents extracted precious metals from the planet's crust. It was supposed to be safe, protected by the Galactic Defense Treaty that Earth had signed with the Zephyrian Alliance. Commander Jake Harrison watched his son Tommy kick a soccer ball with the other boys in the colony's main courtyard. At 15, Tommy had grown tall and strong just like his father. The boy's laughter echoed off the metal walls of the habitat domes, mixing with the voices of his friends. Jake smiled, remembering his own childhood on Earth before humanity had reached for the stars. The warning sirens shattered the peaceful afternoon. All civilians to emergency shelters, immediately, the automated voice announced. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Jake's blood turned cold. He sprinted toward his son as parents rushed from all directions to gather their children. The boys looked confused, their game forgotten as fear crept into their young faces. "Dad, what's happening?" Tommy asked, his voice shaking. Before Jake could answer, the sky above them split open. A massive Zephyrian warship descended through the atmosphere, its black hull bristling with weapons. The ship was 3 times larger than anything humanity had ever built, designed for one purpose: destruction. "Get to the shelter," Jake shouted, pushing Tommy toward the nearest emergency bunker. "Run!" The first energy blast struck the colony's power station, sending a pillar of fire into the sky. The ground shook violently, throwing people to their knees. More ships appeared overhead, smaller fighters that buzzed through the air like angry wasps. Jake reached for his communication device as he ran. "This is Colony Commander Harrison to Earth Defense. We are under attack by Zephyrian forces. Request immediate assistance." Static filled his earpiece. Then a cold alien voice cut through the interference. "Human settlements are no longer protected by treaty," the voice said. "Your species has been deemed a threat to galactic peace. Prepare for cleansing." Jake's heart hammered against his ribs. The Zephyrians had been humanity's allies for 5 years. They had shared technology, traded resources, and signed agreements for mutual protection. What had changed? Another explosion rocked the colony. The medical center erupted in flames, its metal frame twisting like paper. Jake saw Dr. Martinez running from the building, her clothes singed, carrying a wounded child in her arms. "The children," she screamed. "They're targeting the children." Jake watched in horror as a Zephyrian fighter swooped low over the playground area. Its weapons locked onto a group of teenage boys who were helping younger kids reach the shelters. The energy cannon charged with a high-pitched whine. "No," Jake roared, but he was too far away. The blast vaporized 6 boys instantly. Their bodies simply ceased to exist, leaving only scorched ground where they had stood. The younger children screamed and scattered in all directions. This was not random destruction. This was systematic murder. Jake dove into the nearest shelter just as another fighter strafed the area. Inside the cramped underground bunker, 50 colonists huddled together in the dim emergency lighting. Children cried while adults tried to comfort them with shaking hands. "Why are they doing this?" whispered Mrs. Chen, clutching her 8-year-old daughter. "We had a treaty." Through his communication device, Jake could hear similar reports from other human colonies across the sector. The Zephyrians were attacking everywhere at once, breaking every agreement they had made. But their focus seemed deliberate. They were hunting human males between the ages of 12 and 18. Tommy pressed against his father's side. "Dad, they killed Kevin and Marcus. They just disappeared." Jake held his son tighter. Outside, the sounds of destruction continued. Buildings collapsed, vehicles exploded, and the screams of the dying filled the air. But underneath it all, Jake could hear something that made his blood boil. The boys were fighting back. Through the shelter's periscope, he watched a group of 15-year-olds led by Sarah Kim's older brother David. The teenagers had found weapons from the colony's small security force. They moved with desperate courage, helping civilians reach safety while dodging energy blasts from above. A Zephyrian soldier landed near their position. The alien stood 8 feet tall, covered in thick scales that could deflect small arms fire. Its forearms carried advanced energy weapons that could cut through steel. Against such a creature, the human boys had no chance. But they tried anyway. David fired his projectile rifle at the soldier's head while his friends flanked the creature from both sides. The bullets bounced harmlessly off the aliens' armor, but the boys kept fighting. They threw grenades, tackled the soldiers' legs, and refused to retreat even as their friends fell around them. The Zephyrian soldier killed them methodically. Its plasma blade cut through human flesh like it was nothing. David died last, still firing his empty weapon as the alien's claw pierced his chest. Jake had to turn away. In the first hour of the attack, he counted 37 boys dead. They had fought like warriors, but they were children facing an enemy that had conquered half the galaxy. The attack continued for 6 hours. When the Zephyrian ships finally departed, Jake emerged from the shelter to find his world transformed into a graveyard. The beautiful colony was now a smoking ruin. Bodies lay scattered among the wreckage, most of them young males who had tried to protect their families. 100 human boys had died that day, on Kepler 442b alone. Reports from other colonies told the same story. The Zephyrians had declared war not just on humanity, but specifically on its future, its children. As Jake stood among the ruins, holding his surviving son, he activated his long-range transmitter. The message he sent to Earth was simple but filled with rage. "This is Commander Harrison. The colony is lost. They killed our boys. All of them. Someone needs to pay for this." What Jake did not know was that his message would reach the right people. Deep in the mountains of Colorado, 4 men received his transmission. 4 men who had been waiting their entire lives for a war worth fighting. The Zephyrians thought they had destroyed humanity's future by killing its young warriors. They had no idea what they had awakened. The Pentagon's war room fell silent as General Patricia Wells finished reading the casualty reports. 7 human colonies attacked simultaneously, over 3,000 civilians dead. But the number that made her hands shake was written in red ink at the bottom of each report. 147 boys between ages 12 and 18, systematically hunted and killed. "Madam President," General Wells said into her secure communicator, "we need to discuss the Zephyrian situation immediately." President Sarah Chen's voice crackled through the speaker. "I'm already on my way. Have you contacted the Omega Unit?" General Wells hesitated. The Omega Unit was classified beyond top secret. Only 12 people on Earth knew it existed, and half of them were dead. The project had been considered too dangerous, too extreme for modern warfare. But modern warfare had just become extinct. "Not yet, Madam President. Are you certain about this? Once we activate Omega, there's no going back. They murdered children, General. Babies with their whole lives ahead of them. If the Zephyrians want to play by those rules, then we'll show them what humans do to monsters." 2 hours later, a military transport helicopter touched down in a clearing high in the Rocky Mountains. The facility hidden beneath the snow and pine trees had no official name, no budget allocation that appeared in any government record. For 20 years, it had been humanity's most carefully guarded secret. Dr. Elena Vasquez met the helicopter as it landed. At 62, she had dedicated her life to a project that she prayed would never be necessary. Her gray hair whipped in the rotor wash as she led General Wells down a concealed elevator shaft that descended 500 feet into solid rock. "How long since the last activation?" General Wells asked. 18 months, Dr. Vasquez replied. "We run them through combat simulations monthly, but they haven't been fully deployed since the Mars Rebellion in 2157. The elevator opened into a vast underground complex carved from the mountain itself. Banks of computers lined the walls, their screens displaying data streams that tracked everything from global news feeds to deep space communications. But General Wells's attention focused on the 4 massive chambers at the center of the facility. Each chamber was the size of a gymnasium, filled with a clear gel that bubbled softly under harsh white lights. Inside each chamber floated a figure that barely looked human anymore. "Jesus Christ," General Wells whispered. "No," Dr. Vasquez said quietly, "something much more dangerous." The first chamber contained Marcus Steele, once a sergeant in the Marine Corps before volunteering for the program. His body had been enhanced beyond recognition. Standing 9 feet tall and weighing over 400 pounds of pure muscle, his skeleton had been reinforced with titanium alloys. His nervous system had been rewired to process information at superhuman speeds. When awake, he could dodge bullets and punch through tank armor. The second chamber held James Thunder, a former Navy SEAL whose cardiovascular system had been redesigned to function in any environment. He could hold his breath for 2 hours, survive in the vacuum of space for short periods, and his blood carried nanobots that could repair damage in real time. His reflexes operated at the speed of thought itself. In the third chamber floated David Hurricane, whose genetic code had been rewritten to enhance aggression and tactical thinking. His brain processed combat scenarios faster than any computer, calculating angles, weaknesses, and strike patterns in milliseconds. His bones were virtually unbreakable. His muscles could tear through steel cables. The fourth chamber contained the project's greatest success and most terrifying creation, Colonel Michael Omega. Before the enhancement program, he had been the most decorated soldier in human history. Now he was something that existed beyond normal human limits. His body could regenerate from injuries that would kill normal men. His strength could crush stone. His mind operated on levels that frightened even his creators. The Zephyrians killed over 1,800 human boys, General Wells said. They specifically targeted children. Dr. Vasquez's face hardened. Then it's time to wake them up. The activation process took 3 hours. As the gel drained from each chamber, the 4 enhanced soldiers began to stir. Their bodies, preserved in perfect condition by the suspension system, started to show signs of life. Muscles flexed. Eyes opened. Breathing resumed. Marcus Steele was the first to step out of his chamber. His massive frame moved with surprising grace as he stretched limbs that had been motionless for months. When he spoke, his voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Status report, Doctor." "The Zephyrians have attacked 7 human colonies," Dr. Vasquez said. "They've specifically targeted human males between 12 and 18 years old. Nearly 2,000 boys are dead." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. James Thunder emerged from his chamber, water dripping from his enhanced physique. His pale blue eyes, modified to see across multiple spectrums, locked onto Dr. Vasquez with predatory focus. "Children," he said. It wasn't a question. David Hurricane stepped out next, his movements precise and calculated. His brain was already processing the tactical implications of what he'd been told. "Show me the attack patterns." Dr. Vasquez activated the main display screen. Video feeds from the colony attacks played simultaneously, showing Zephyrian soldiers methodically hunting down teenage boys. The enhanced soldiers watched in silence, their faces showing no emotion, but the air in the room grew heavy with barely contained violence. Finally, Colonel Michael Omega emerged from his chamber. When he spoke, every other sound in the facility seemed to stop. "How many Zephyrian worlds?" 47 confirmed colonies, sir," General Wells answered. "But their military operates from 12 primary bases scattered across the galaxy." Omega nodded slowly. His enhanced mind was already formulating a strategy that would have taken normal military planners months to develop. "Transport capabilities? We have the new experimental ships. Faster than light travel, stealth capabilities, and enough firepower to level cities. Each ship can carry one of you along with support equipment." "Support equipment won't be necessary," Omega said. Dr. Vasquez activated another screen showing the physical capabilities of each soldier. Their bodies could survive in space, breathe in toxic atmospheres, and operate at temperatures that would freeze normal blood. They had been designed as the ultimate weapons, created during humanity's darkest hour when extinction seemed certain. "The public doesn't know about you," General Wells said. "As far as the galaxy is concerned, Earth's military consists of standard soldiers with conventional weapons. The Zephyrians have no idea what's coming for them." Marcus Steele cracked his knuckles and the sound echoed like gunshots through the chamber. "Good. Fear makes the hunt more interesting." "There are rules of engagement," Dr. Vasquez began. "No," Omega interrupted. "They killed children. They specifically targeted boys who couldn't defend themselves. There are no rules anymore." James Thunder's enhanced senses detected the elevated heart rates of everyone in the room. The normal humans were afraid, and they had every right to be. The 4 enhanced soldiers standing before them were designed to be humanity's ultimate protectors, but they were also its most dangerous predators. "When do we deploy?" David Hurricane asked. General Wells checked her tablet. "Transport ships are being prepared now. You'll each be assigned a different target, maximum damage, minimum exposure. The goal is to make the Zephyrians understand that attacking human children was the worst mistake in their species' history." Omega walked to the wall display showing images of the dead boys from Kepler 442b. His enhanced vision could pick out details that normal humans would miss. He saw the fear in their faces, the courage they had shown in their final moments. the waste of potential that their deaths represented. "Doctor," he said without turning around, "remove all safety protocols from our enhancement systems." Dr. Vasquez paled. "Sir, without the safety protocols, your abilities will be pushed beyond tested limits. You could suffer permanent damage or worse." "The boys on Kepler 442b suffered permanent damage," Omega replied. "We'll take our chances." As the 4 enhanced soldiers prepared for deployment, none of them smiled. They felt no joy at the prospect of battle, no excitement about testing their abilities against a galactic enemy. What they felt was something much colder and infinitely more dangerous. Purpose. The Zephyrians had awakened something that had been sleeping in the mountains of Earth. 4 warriors who represented the absolute pinnacle of human warfare, enhanced beyond the limits of biology and trained beyond the boundaries of morality. They were about to learn what happened when you killed humanity's children. The Zephyrian military base on Xerion Prime buzzed with celebration. General Kextar stood on the observation deck of his command tower, watching his soldiers feast in the courtyard below. They had earned this victory celebration. The human colonies had been crushed with minimal Zephyrian casualties, and the young human males who might have grown into warriors were dead. The humans sent 3 diplomatic messages demanding explanation, reported Captain Vexel, Kextar's aide. "They threaten military action if we do not cease our operations." Kextar's forearms gestured dismissively. His scaled hide gleamed under the twin suns of Xerion Prime as he laughed. "Let them threaten. Their pathetic fleet consists of mining ships and transport vessels. We have conquered 43 worlds across 7 sectors. What can a single planet of primitive mammals do to us?" The general was 8 feet tall and weighed nearly 500 pounds of muscle and bone. His species had evolved as apex predators on a high-gravity world where only the strongest survived. They had built an empire that stretched across thousands of light years, and no enemy had ever matched their physical capabilities in individual combat. "Sir," Captain Vexel said hesitantly, "our intelligence suggests the humans may have hidden capabilities. Their technological advancement seems inconsistent with their known military assets." "Impossible. We have monitored their communications, studied their ship designs, analyzed their weapon signatures. They are decades behind us in every category." Kextar pointed to a display screen showing human military bases. "Look at their soldiers. Weak, slow, fragile creatures that weigh barely half what our youngest warriors do. They require protective suits to survive in space, breathing apparatus to function in different atmospheres. They are an evolutionary dead end." What General Kextar did not know was that at that exact moment something was descending through Xerion Prime's atmosphere at impossible speed. The stealth ship Vengeance dropped toward the planet's surface, its hull invisible to Zephyrian sensors. Inside the single-occupant craft, Marcus Steele made final preparations for insertion. His enhanced body no longer felt cramped in the ship's confined space. The titanium reinforcements in his skeleton could handle impacts that would pulverize normal bone. His nervous system, rewired with quantum processors, calculated trajectory and landing vectors faster than the ship's computer. "Target confirmed," Marcus spoke into his communicator. "Zephyrian base contains approximately 800 soldiers. No civilian populations detected in surrounding area." Dr. Vasquez's voice crackled through the communication link from Earth. "Remember, Marcus, your mission is to send a message. Make them understand that killing human children has consequences." "Message received, Doctor. Beginning insertion now." Marcus ejected from the stealth ship at an altitude of 30,000 feet. His body, wrapped in adaptive armor that could survive re-entry, plummeted toward the Zephyrian base like a meteor. The armor's surface glowed white-hot as he tore through the atmosphere, but his enhanced physiology regulated his body temperature automatically. He struck the ground in the center of the Zephyrian feast celebration with the force of an artillery shell. The impact crater stretched 20 feet in all directions, and the shockwave knocked dozens of Zephyrian soldiers off their feet. When the dust settled, Marcus Steele rose from the center of the destruction like something from their worst nightmares. The Zephyrian soldiers stared in shock at the human who had fallen from the sky. He stood 9 feet tall, his muscles bulging against armor that should have been melted slag. Steam rose from his body as he surveyed the enemy forces surrounding him. "What are you?" General Kextar shouted from his observation tower. Marcus looked up at the Zephyrian commander. When he spoke, his voice carried across the base with mechanical precision. "I am retribution for the boys you murdered on Kepler 442b." The first Zephyrian soldiers to recover from their shock opened fire. Energy blasts that could vaporize steel struck Marcus's chest and shoulders. The impact sent ripples across his adaptive armor but did no damage. His enhanced cellular structure could absorb and redistribute energy at the molecular level. Marcus moved toward the nearest group of soldiers with terrifying speed. His titanium-reinforced fist connected with the first Zephyrian's head, and the alien's skull simply ceased to exist. The body stood for a moment before collapsing, dark blood pooling in the dust. "Kill the human," General Kextar screamed. 50 Zephyrian warriors rushed forward wielding plasma blades and energy weapons. They had trained for decades to become the galaxy's most feared soldiers. Their natural strength could bend steel bars. Their reflexes had been honed through countless battles across multiple worlds. It didn't matter. Marcus caught the first plasma blade with his bare hand. The superheated energy that could cut through ship armor was harmless against his enhanced palm. He crushed the weapon like a toy and drove his other fist through the warrior's chest cavity. Scales and bone offered no more resistance than paper. A Zephyrian with 4 plasma blades attacked from behind, seeking to exploit Marcus's blind spot. But Marcus's enhanced nervous system detected the movement before his conscious mind did. He spun and caught all 4 of the alien's arms, then twisted with enough force to tear them from their sockets. "Impossible," Captain Vexel whispered. "Nothing can move that fast." Marcus heard the comment from across the courtyard. His enhanced auditory systems could detect whispers from hundreds of yards away. He looked directly at the captain and smiled. The expression was more terrifying than any roar of rage could have been. More Zephyrian soldiers poured into the courtyard, but they began to hesitate as they watched their comrades die. These were veterans who had conquered worlds, but they had never faced anything like the enhanced human. He moved through their ranks like death incarnate, each movement precise and devastating. A group of 20 Zephyrians tried to overwhelm him with coordinated attacks from all directions. Marcus leaped straight up, his leg muscles launching him 40 feet into the air. While airborne, he drew explosive charges from his armor and scattered them among the advancing soldiers. The detonation sent body parts flying across the base. When he landed, only 3 Zephyrians in the courtyard were still alive. They dropped their weapons and tried to run. Marcus let them flee toward the communications center. Fear was part of the message. General Kextar activated his personal defense systems and sealed himself in his command tower. The structure's walls were made from compressed Hyperion, a metal that could withstand starship weapons. No ground-based assault could penetrate his defenses. Marcus walked casually to the base of the tower and placed both hands against the wall. His enhanced muscles contracted and cracks began to spread through the Hyperion like spider webs. The metal that had been designed to resist orbital bombardment crumbled under the focused pressure of his grip. "This is impossible," Kextar muttered, backing away from his observation window. "Humans are weak. They're fragile. They can't do this." Marcus punched through the tower wall with enough force to shake the entire structure. He stepped through the hole he had created and looked around the command center. Banks of computers displayed tactical information about Zephyrian military operations. Star charts showed the locations of every enemy base. "General Kextar," Marcus said politely, "we need to talk." The Zephyrian general was trembling, all 4 of his arms shaking as he pointed a plasma rifle at the enhanced human. "Stay back. I'll kill you." "No," Marcus said simply. "You won't." He moved faster than Kextar could track and tore the weapon from the alien's grasp. Then he lifted the 500-pound general off the ground with one hand and held him at eye level. "You killed 1,800 human boys," Marcus said. "Children who had never hurt anyone. Children who were playing games when your ships arrived. Children who died trying to protect their families." "They would have grown into warriors," Kextar gasped. "It was strategically sound to eliminate future threats." Marcus's grip tightened around the general's throat. "Every one of those boys was someone's son, someone's brother, someone's future. You took that away because you thought humans were weak." "You are weak," Kextar wheezed. "One enhanced freak doesn't represent your entire species." Marcus smiled again, and this time his expression held genuine amusement. "General, I have very bad news for you. I'm not alone." He activated his communication device, and the voices of his 3 companions filled the command center. "Thunder here. Zephyrian fleet base on Corvex 7 is offline. 2,000 enemy casualties, 0 survivors, Hurricane reporting. Military Academy on Threx Prime has been neutralized. 3,000 Zephyrian cadets eliminated. Omega to steal. Primary command facility on Nexus Core is destroyed. Zephyrian High Command is dead. General Kextar's eyes widened in horror as he understood the scope of what was happening. 4 enhanced humans were simultaneously attacking Zephyrian military targets across the galaxy, and they were winning. This is just the beginning, Marcus explained, as if discussing the weather. Every time you kill a human child, we'll destroy one of your worlds. Every time you target our civilians, we'll eliminate 1,000 of your soldiers. You wanted to see how weak humans really are? Congratulations. You're about to find out. Marcus carried the general to his own communication array and the Zephyrian War Council convened an emergency session aboard the massive battle station, Eternal Dominance. Representatives from 12 worlds gathered in the spherical chamber, their scaled faces showing emotions that their species rarely displayed. Fear and confusion. Admiral Thexra, Supreme Commander of the Zephyrian Space Forces, activated the holographic display at the center of the chamber. Images of destruction filled the air above their heads. 4 military installations lay in ruins, their defenders slaughtered by impossible enemies. In the span of 6 hours, Admiral Thexra announced, "We have lost over 12,000 soldiers to 4 individual humans. Our most secure facilities have been breached. Our elite warriors have been eliminated without inflicting a single casualty on the enemy." Counselor Dexma, representative from the industrial world of Corvex 7, leaned forward in her seat. "Show us the footage again. I need to understand how this is possible." The holographic display shifted to surveillance recordings from the attacked bases. The assembled Zephyrians watched in silence as James Thunder moved through their fleet installation like liquid death. His enhanced cardiovascular system allowed him to function in the vacuum of space, without protective equipment. He had boarded their ships directly from space, traveling between vessels faster than their gunners could track. On the recording, Thunder ripped through ship hulls with his bare hands, his enhanced strength tearing apart metal that had been designed to withstand meteor impacts. Inside each vessel, he moved with inhuman speed, killing the crew before they could activate their emergency systems. 23 battleships had been destroyed from within, their massive weapons useless against an enemy already inside their defenses. "How does he breathe in space?" demanded General Yexkor, military coordinator for the outer colonies. "How does he survive temperatures that would freeze our blood solid?" Admiral Thexra manipulated the display to show enhanced readings from their sensor systems. "Our analysis indicates significant biological modifications. Their cellular structure appears to be artificial, engineered rather than evolved. They are not natural humans." The second recording showed David Hurricane's assault on the military academy at Threx Prime. 3,000 Zephyrian cadets, the finest young warriors in the galaxy, had been training in the Academy's combat simulation facilities when Hurricane arrived. The enhanced human had moved through the Academy like a force of nature. His modified brain calculated combat scenarios faster than any computer, predicting enemy movements before they occurred. Against 3,000 opponents, he never made a wrong step, never miscalculated an angle, never failed to anticipate an attack. The cadets had fought bravely, using every tactic they had learned, every weapon at their disposal. They had attempted coordinated assaults, trap ambushes, and desperate last stands. Nothing worked. Hurricane fought with mechanical precision, each kill executed with optimal efficiency. In 47 minutes, every cadet in the academy was dead. He knew what they were going to do before they did it, whispered Counselor Vexishan, her voice shaking. He fought 3,000 of our best students simultaneously and never made a mistake. The third recording was the most disturbing. Colonel Michael Omega had infiltrated the primary command facility on Nexus Core, the most heavily defended installation in Zephyrian space. The facility contained not only military headquarters, but also the ruling council of their government. Security footage showed Omega walking calmly through defensive systems that should have killed him instantly. Energy barriers that could stop plasma cannon blasts simply parted around his body. Automated weapon systems fired continuously, but their targeting computers couldn't lock onto him. He moved like a ghost through their most sophisticated defenses. When he reached the council chambers, Omega had addressed the Zephyrian High Command directly. The recording captured his words clearly. "You killed children because you thought humans were weak. I'm here to correct that misunderstanding. What followed was not a battle but an execution. Omega eliminated the entire High Command in less than 3 minutes. Their personal guards, elite warriors trained from birth to protect the government, couldn't even touch him. His movements were beyond what biological creatures should be capable of achieving. Where did they come from? Admiral Thexra asked the assembled council. Our intelligence networks show no evidence of human enhancement programs. No research facilities, no experimental programs, no indication that Earth possessed this technology. Counselor Dexma accessed her data tablet. Our spies on Earth report that their military consists of standard soldiers with conventional equipment. Their space fleet contains no vessels capable of faster-than-light travel. Their weapons technology is decades behind our own. These 4 individuals appear to have materialized from nowhere. Unless, said General Yexkor slowly, they've been hiding these capabilities all along. The council chamber fell silent as the implication sank in. If Earth had secretly developed enhanced soldiers like these 4, what else might they be hiding? How many more enhanced humans might exist? What other technologies had they concealed? We have made a terrible mistake, Admiral Thexra said finally. We attacked their colonies based on the assumption that humans were technologically inferior. If these 4 individuals represent a larger population of enhanced soldiers, we may have awakened an enemy far more dangerous than we ever imagined. The holographic display shifted to show current intelligence reports from Zephyrian spy networks. Earth's reaction to the colony attacks had been swift and decisive. Their government had issued formal declarations of war against the Zephyrian alliance. More ominously, human space traffic had ceased entirely. No ships were leaving Earth. No communications were being transmitted to their colonies. They're preparing for something, Counselor Vexishon observed. Full communication blackout, complete halt to civilian activities. This is not the response of a species that considers itself outmatched. Admiral Thexra brought up a tactical display, showing Zephyrian military assets across the galaxy. Their empire contained 47 worlds, protected by the most advanced fleet in known space. 3 million soldiers served in their armed forces, supported by weapons technology that had conquered every enemy they had ever faced. Even if Earth possesses more enhanced soldiers, he said, their numbers must be limited. The energy requirements to create and maintain such beings would be enormous. We estimate they could have perhaps a few dozen at most. Against our entire military might, they cannot hope to achieve victory. General Yexkor accessed the tactical projections. Our analysis indicates that each enhanced human can eliminate approximately 1,000 of our soldiers before being overwhelmed by sheer numbers. If Earth has 50 such warriors, they could kill 50,000 of our people before we destroy them. The losses would be significant but acceptable. And if they have more? Asked Counselor Dexma. Impossible. The resources required would exceed anything a single planet could produce. What the Zephyrian War Council did not know was that at that very moment, Dr. Elena Vasquez was standing in a facility far larger than the one hidden in the Colorado mountains. The installation beneath the Pacific Ocean contained not 4 enhancement chambers but 400. For 30 years, Earth's governments had been preparing for exactly this scenario. The project had consumed the resources of 12 nations. Every breakthrough in genetics, cybernetics, and bioengineering had been funneled into creating humanity's ultimate guardians. The 4 soldiers currently devastating Zephyrian forces were not Earth's secret weapons. They were merely the first wave. Back on the battle station Eternal Dominance, Admiral Thexra made his decision. We will demonstrate to Earth the futility of resistance. Assemble the Grand Fleet, target their homeworld directly. When they see our full military power descending toward their planet, they will surrender their enhanced soldiers rather than watch their civilization burn. The Council voted unanimously to approve the operation. Within hours, every Zephyrian warship in the galaxy received orders to converge on Earth's solar system. The largest military armada in galactic history began moving toward humanity's homeworld. As the massive fleet prepared for departure, none of the Zephyrian commanders noticed the subtle changes in their sensor readings. Ships that should have been detectable were somehow invisible to their instruments. Communication signals were being intercepted and analyzed by systems they couldn't detect. Earth was no longer hiding. The 4 enhanced soldiers had accomplished their primary mission. They had forced the Zephyrians to commit their entire fleet to a single massive assault. Now the enemy would learn what humanity had really been building in secret for the past 3 decades. The galaxy was about to witness the true meaning of human warfare. The Zephyrians had killed children, thinking they were fighting a weak species. They were about to discover that they had actually declared war on the most dangerous predators the universe had ever produced. Admiral Thexra stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the enormous fleet assemble around him. 2,000 warships, each carrying enough firepower to level a continent. Against such might, surely even enhanced humans could not stand. He had no idea that he was leading his entire civilization into a T. Admiral Thexra stood on the bridge of his flagship Unbreakable Will as the Zephyrian Grand Fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 2,000 warships stretched across space like a metallic constellation, their weapons trained on the small blue planet that had dared to challenge the galaxy's most powerful military force. "Target acquired," reported his tactical officer. "Earth's defensive grid consists of 12 orbital platforms and approximately 200 patrol vessels. No significant military installations detected on the planetary surface." Thexra activated the fleet-wide communication system. "This is Admiral Thexra to all ships. Today we demonstrate why the Zephyrian Alliance is the dominant force in the galaxy. The humans will surrender their enhanced warriors, or we will reduce their world to ash." The bridge crew worked efficiently at their stations, preparing weapon systems that could crack a planet's crust. The flagship alone carried enough firepower to destroy a moon. Combined with the rest of the Grand Fleet, they possessed the capability to eliminate all life on Earth within hours. "Sir," called the communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth." "Put it through." The main display screen flickered to life, showing a woman in a simple military uniform, standing in what appeared to be an ordinary command center. Admiral Thexra had expected to see Earth's leaders trembling in fear. Instead, the human looked completely calm. "I'm General Patricia Wells, representing Earth's Unified Defense Forces," the woman said. "You have 30 seconds to withdraw from our solar system before we respond to your invasion." Thexra laughed, the sound echoing through the bridge. "Human, you are facing the combined might of 47 worlds. 2,000 ships, each armed with weapons that can destroy continents. Your pathetic defensive fleet wouldn't last 5 minutes against a single one of our destroyers. Surrender now, and we might allow your species to continue existing as laborers in our empire." General Wells checked what appeared to be a simple wristwatch. 20 seconds remaining. "You're insane," Thexra said. "We have scanned your system. There are no hidden fleets, no secret weapon platforms, no defensive capabilities that could threaten us. What exactly do you think you can do against 2,000 warships?" 10 seconds. Thexra gestured to his weapons officer. "Prepare to destroy their orbital platforms. Show them what defiance costs." 5 seconds. The Admiral watched the human woman's face, expecting to see fear replace her impossible calm. Instead, she smiled. "Time's up." The human transmission ended, and for a moment, Admiral Thexra wondered what kind of bluff the woman had been attempting. Then his sensor operator began screaming, "Sir!" Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Massive energy signatures appearing throughout the system. The tactical display exploded with new signals as ships began materializing around the Zephyrian fleet. But these weren't the small patrol vessels that Earth had displayed before. These were warships larger than anything in Zephyrian arsenal, their hulls bristling with weapon systems that his tactical computers couldn't identify. "Impossible," Thexra whispered. "Where did they come from?" "Admiral," his sensor operator reported, voice shaking. "I'm counting over 5,000 enemy vessels. They appear to be using some kind of stealth technology that completely bypassed our detection systems. 5,000 ships. Earth had somehow hidden a fleet more than twice the size of the Zephyrian Grand Fleet, and they had been invisible until the moment they chose to reveal themselves." "How?" Thexra demanded. "Our intelligence networks would have detected construction on this scale. No single planet has the resources to build such a fleet." His tactical officer provided the answer. "Sir, the ship signatures don't match any known human technology. The hulls appear to be constructed from materials we've never encountered. The power readings are beyond anything our science can explain." On the main display, the leading human ship opened a communication channel. The face that appeared belonged to a man in his 50s, wearing an admiral's uniform that bore insignia from multiple Earth nations. "Admiral Thexra," the human said. "I'm Admiral Chen Rodriguez, commanding the Earth Defense Fleet. You have invaded our solar system with hostile intent. You have murdered our children on distant colonies. You have declared war on humanity. We are here to accept that declaration." Thexra tried to maintain his composure, but the scope of the human fleet was unlike anything he had imagined possible. Admiral Rodriguez, surely we can reach some accommodation. The attacks on your colonies were strategic decisions based on incomplete information. Perhaps we can negotiate terms that benefit both our peoples. Negotiate? Rodriguez's expression hardened. You systematically hunted and killed 1,800 children. Boys who were playing games, helping their families, learning to become men. You murdered them because you thought it would prevent them from growing into threats. You were right about one thing, Admiral. They would have become threats, but not to you. The human admiral paused, and when he continued, his voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. They would have become threats to any force that dared to harm innocent people. They would have grown into protectors, defenders, guardians of the weak. By killing them, you didn't eliminate future threats. You eliminated future hope. And for that, there can be no negotiation. Thexra activated his fleet communication system. All ships prepare for combat. Target the largest human vessels and open fire on my command. But before he could give the order to attack, something impossible happened. His ships began shutting down. Sir, reported his engineering officer, we're losing power across all systems. Engine output is dropping. Weapons are going offline. It's as if our energy cores are being drained. Admiral Rodriguez appeared to be listening to something through an earpiece. Then he looked directly at the camera with an expression that might have been pity. Admiral Thexra, for the past hour, human infiltration teams have been aboard every ship in your fleet. You never saw them coming because they're not entirely human anymore. Each team consists of enhanced soldiers similar to the 4 who destroyed your military installations. Thexra felt his blood turn cold. That's impossible. Our ships have been in hyperspace. There's no way anyone could have boarded them during transit. Your understanding of physics is more limited than you realize, Rodriguez replied. Our enhanced soldiers can survive in hyperspace, function in dimensions that normal matter can't penetrate, and move through barriers that you consider impenetrable. While you were congratulating yourselves on assembling the largest fleet in galactic history, we were placing our people on every ship you brought to our home. The tactical display showed power levels dropping across the entire Zephyrian fleet. 2,000 warships, the pride of a galactic empire, were being systematically disabled from within by enemies they had never detected. Your soldiers are sabotaging our energy cores, Thexra said. No, Rodriguez corrected. They're not sabotaging anything. They're taking control. Every ship in your fleet is now under human command. Your crews are alive but secured. Your weapon systems have been repurposed. Your navigation computers have been reprogrammed. As if to demonstrate, one of the Zephyrian destroyers slowly rotated until its main guns pointed directly at Admiral Thexra's flagship. This is Admiral Chen to Zephyrian destroyer Red Vengeance, Rodriguez announced. Please confirm operational status. A familiar voice answered, though it now carried the mechanical precision that marked enhanced humans. This is Marcus Steele aboard Red Vengeance. Ship is secure. 800 Zephyrian crew members have been restrained without casualties. All systems under human control. Rodriguez nodded. James Thunder, report status on the battlecruiser Eternal Fury. Thunder here, Admiral. 1,200 crew members secured. Ship's weapon systems are operational and awaiting targets. David Hurricane, status on the Dreadnought Final Justice. Hurricane reporting. 2,000 crew members contained. This vessel's planetary bombardment systems are ready for deployment under human command. Admiral Thexra sank into his command chair as the full scope of what had happened became clear. The humans hadn't just hidden their fleet. They had planned this entire scenario, using the Zephyrian attack on Earth as an opportunity to capture the enemy's greatest military assets. You orchestrated this, he said. The attacks on our installations, the destruction of our bases. You wanted us to assemble our entire fleet in one location. Partially correct, Rodriguez admitted. We did want your fleet in one place, but the attacks on our colonies were genuine acts of war. The murder of our children was a real atrocity that demanded real consequences. Our enhanced soldiers destroyed your installations not as part of a strategy, but as an expression of human justice. Admiral Thexra looked around his bridge as his crew stared at their now useless control panels. What do you want? Surrender? Tribute? Slavery? Admiral Rodriguez was quiet for a moment, and when he spoke, his words carried the weight of an entire species' judgment. We want you to go home, Admiral. All of you. Return to your worlds and tell your people exactly what happened here. Explain how Earth's military captured your entire fleet without firing a single shot. Describe how our enhanced soldiers moved through your ships like ghosts, neutralizing your forces without killing them. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Thexra stood in the council chamber of Zephyr Prime, facing a tribunal of his own people. The capture of the entire Zephyrian Grand Fleet had shattered more than military pride. It had destroyed the fundamental beliefs upon which their civilization was built. You claim that 2,000 warships were captured without a single shot being fired, said Council Prime Dextor, the most powerful leader in Zephyrian space. You expect us to believe that humans somehow teleported aboard our vessels while they were traveling through hyperspace. I saw it with my own eyes, Thexra replied. Our sensor logs confirm everything I reported. The humans possess technology that we cannot comprehend, soldiers that operate beyond the laws of physics as we understand them. Counselor Yexmiran leaned forward in her seat. Even if we accept your impossible claims about human capabilities, the strategic implications are devastating. If Earth possesses 5,000 advanced warships, why did they allow us to attack their colonies? Why not simply destroy our entire civilization before we could threaten them? The question had haunted Thexra for months. He had studied every detail of the human response, analyzed every tactical decision Earth had made. The conclusion he had reached was more disturbing than the military defeat itself. Because they're not conquerors, he said slowly. They don't want to rule other species or expand their territory. They only responded after we killed their children. If we hadn't attacked those colonies, they would have remained hidden indefinitely. Impossible, scoffed General Kexmiran. No species develops military capabilities of that magnitude for purely defensive purposes. The resources required, the technological advancement necessary, the time investment involved, all of it points toward aggressive expansion. Thexra activated his personal datapad, displaying intelligence reports that had been gathered since Earth's revelation. Our spy networks have been completely compromised, but we've managed to piece together fragments of information about human society. What we've discovered suggests that their entire civilization is structured around protection rather than conquest. The assembled council members studied the data with growing confusion. Earth's governmental systems appeared to be designed around ensuring the welfare of their population. Their economic structures prioritized education, scientific advancement, and what they called quality of life. Their military doctrine emphasized defense of civilians above territorial expansion. This makes no sense, Council Prime Dexter said. Species that develop advanced military technology invariably become aggressive. The power to destroy other civilizations naturally leads to the desire to use that power. It's evolutionary biology. Unless, Thexra said quietly, you're dealing with a species that evolved differently. He brought up another display showing Earth's biological history. The data painted a picture of a world where multiple sapient subspecies had coexisted for thousands of years. Humans had not achieved dominance through superior strength or natural weapons. They had survived by forming communities, protecting their young, and working together against environmental threats. Their entire evolutionary development was based on cooperation and mutual protection, Thexra explained. When they encountered natural predators stronger and faster than themselves, they didn't compete individually. They formed groups and fought as unified forces. When environmental disasters threatened their communities, they shared resources and knowledge to ensure collective survival. Counselor Yexmiran studied the biological data, but that would mean their aggression is entirely defensive in nature. They only fight when their community is threatened. Exactly. And we threatened their most precious community members, their children. The council chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The Zephyrians had built their empire through conquest, believing that all sapient species shared their drive for dominance. The discovery of a civilization that possessed overwhelming military power but no desire for conquest challenged everything they thought they knew about intelligence and evolution. What are they doing now? Asked Council Prime Dextor. Thexra shifted to current intelligence reports. They've returned our ships and crews unharmed. Every Zephyrian soldier was released with full medical treatment and provisions for their journey home. They kept our weapons technology, but they dismantled all our offensive capabilities before releasing the vessels. And our colonies? Untouched. Earth made no territorial demands, imposed no tribute. established no governing structures in Zephyrian space. They simply sent us home and told us never to target human civilians again. General Kexamiran stood up abruptly. This is unprecedented. No military force in galactic history has ever achieved total victory, and then demanded nothing in return. What kind of species does that? The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Yexalara, the Council's chief xenobiologist, had been reviewing Earth's cultural transmissions for months. Her analysis had revealed patterns that contradicted every assumption the Zephyrians had made about human nature. A parental species, she said quietly. The Council turned to face her. Explain. Human society is organized around what they call generational thinking, Dr. Yexalara said. Every decision they make is evaluated based on its impact on future generations. They don't fight for resources or territory for themselves. They fight to ensure that their children will be safe and prosperous. She activated a display showing human cultural artifacts, stories, songs, artwork, and historical records. All of them shared common themes of sacrifice for the young, protection of the innocent, and building better futures for the next generation. This is why they developed such advanced military technology, while maintaining peaceful intentions, she continued. They weren't preparing to conquer other species. They were preparing to protect their children from any possible threat. The enhanced soldiers, the hidden fleets, the technological superiority, all of it was created as insurance against exactly what we did to them. Admiral Thexra nodded grimly. We didn't attack a weak species that happened to have some advanced weapons. We declared war on a civilization that had spent centuries preparing for the possibility that someone might threaten their young. Every parent in their society supported the development of those enhancement programs because they understood that their children's safety depended on being ready for anything. Council Prime Dextor studied the cultural analysis with growing unease. How many enhanced soldiers do they actually possess? Unknown, Thexra admitted. But based on the coordinated capture of our entire fleet, we estimate several thousand at minimum, possibly tens of thousands. And their real fleet capabilities? The 5,000 ships they revealed are likely only a fraction of their total forces. Our analysis suggests they could have been hiding additional fleets throughout their solar system. Earth possesses multiple planets and asteroid installations that we never properly investigated. The strategic implications were staggering. The Zephyrian Alliance had built their empire on the assumption that they possessed the galaxy's most advanced military technology. The discovery that a single planet had been secretly developing superior capabilities meant that their entire strategic doctrine was obsolete. What do you recommend? Asked Council Prime Dextor. Admiral Thexra had been dreading this question for months. The answer would reshape Zephyrian civilization, but there was no alternative. Complete withdrawal from human space. Immediate cessation of all military operations that target civilian populations of any species. Full compliance with whatever treaties Earth chooses to offer. You're suggesting surrender. I'm suggesting survival. The humans demonstrated that they could capture our entire military force without killing anyone. That was a show of restraint, not weakness. Next time, they might decide that restraint is no longer appropriate. General Kexamiran slammed his fist on the council table. We are Zephyrians. We have conquered 47 worlds. We don't surrender to anyone. We don't surrender to anyone we can fight, Thexra corrected. But these aren't opponents we can defeat through conventional warfare. They're a species of parents who have decided that their children are worth any sacrifice. Do you understand what that means? They'll sacrifice their own lives, their own worlds, their own civilization if necessary to ensure their young survive. How do you fight an enemy that values their children's lives more than their own? The council chamber fell silent again. In their entire history, the Zephyrians had never encountered a species with that level of protective dedication. Their own culture valued strength, honor, and conquest. The idea of sacrificing everything for the benefit of the next generation was alien to their thinking. There's something else, Dr. Yexalara said quietly. Something that might be even more significant than their military capabilities. What? Based on their cultural transmissions, human children are taught from an early age that their purpose is to protect future generations. Every human boy who grows to adulthood becomes a potential guardian, trained to defend not just his own offspring but all children in his community. When we killed those 1,800 boys on the colonies, she paused, and her next words sent a chill through every member of the council. We didn't just murder children. We destroyed 18. 5 years after the Zephyrian surrender, Commander Jake Harrison stood in the Memorial Garden on New Kepler, looking at the wall of names carved in black granite. 100 boys had died in the attack that started the war, and their names glowed softly in the evening light. Among them was his own son Tommy, who had tried to protect younger children when the alien soldiers came. The memorial wasn't just a reminder of loss. It had become a symbol of what humanity would do to protect its young. Visitors came from across the galaxy to see the simple monument and read the inscription beneath the names. They died as children. They are remembered as heroes. Dad? Jake turned to see his daughter Sarah, now 23 and serving as a diplomatic attaché to the Galactic Council. She had been only 15 when Tommy died, but the war had aged all the survivors beyond their years. The ceremony is about to begin, she said softly. Jake nodded and walked with his daughter toward the main square of New Kepler Colony. The settlement had been rebuilt exactly where the old one had stood, but now it was protected by defensive systems that made it virtually impregnable. More importantly, it was protected by something the galaxy had never seen before: a coalition of species united in the protection of children. The Galactic Protection Treaty had been signed by 47 different civilizations in the years following Earth's demonstration of military power. The document was simple but absolute. Any species that deliberately targeted children would face the combined military might of every signatory world. Earth's enhanced soldiers served as enforcers of the treaty, moving between worlds to ensure that no child anywhere suffered what had happened on Kepler 442b. President Sarah Chen stepped up to the memorial podium, her hair now gray, but her voice still carrying the authority that had guided humanity through its darkest hour. Behind her stood the 4 enhanced soldiers who had changed the course of galactic history: Marcus Steele, James Thunder, David Hurricane, and Colonel Michael Omega. The soldiers looked exactly as they had 5 years earlier. Their enhancement process had halted aging and made them essentially immortal guardians of human civilization. They no longer served only Earth. They had become protectors for every child in the galaxy. Today we remember not just the boys who died here, President Chen began, but what their sacrifice taught us about the value of innocence. They showed us that courage isn't about being unafraid. It's about being afraid and standing up anyway to protect those who can't protect themselves. In the crowd, Jake saw representatives from dozens of alien species. Zephyrians stood next to former enemies, their heads bowed in respect. Admiral Thexra himself was present, wearing the simple robes of someone who had devoted his life to making amends for past actions. After the Zephyrian surrender, Thexra had requested permission to spend his remaining years working in human refugee camps, helping to care for children who had been displaced by various galactic conflicts. It had taken him 3 years to convince Earth's government that his repentance was genuine, but now he was considered one of the most effective advocates for child protection in the galaxy. The enhanced soldiers standing behind me represent more than military might, President Chen continued. They represent a promise that humanity made to every parent in the galaxy. Your children will be safe, not because we conquered other species, but because we convinced them that protecting innocence is more important than any territorial dispute or resource conflict. Colonel Omega stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice carried across the square without amplification, reaching every person present. We did not seek this responsibility, he said. We became what we are because someone made the mistake of threatening human children. But in the years since, we have learned that protection is not just about preventing harm, it's about creating hope. Behind the enhanced soldiers, a group of teenagers stepped into view. These were the Enhanced Youth Corps, the next generation of humanity's guardians. Unlike the original 4 soldiers, these young people had volunteered for enhancement as adults, choosing to dedicate their lives to protection rather than being transformed by necessity. Among them stood Tommy's best friend, David Kim, now enhanced and serving as a protector for the outer colonies. He had requested enhancement on his 18th birthday, telling the selection board that he wanted to make sure no other children experienced what his friends had suffered. The war that began here ended with more than victory, David said, his voice carrying the same mechanical precision that marked all enhanced humans. It ended with understanding. We learned that strength without purpose is meaningless. Power without responsibility is destruction. But protection with dedication becomes something that can change the galaxy. Jake watched his daughter Sarah step up to speak on behalf of the diplomatic corps. She had chosen a different path than enhancement, working instead to build the political structures that would prevent future conflicts. The Galactic Protection Treaty has been tested 17 times in the past 5 years, Sarah reported. Conflicts that previously would have escalated into wars targeting civilian populations were resolved through negotiation and enforcement. 3 species that were planning attacks on rival colonies abandoned their plans when they learned about the treaty's protection provisions. She paused to look directly at the Zephyrian delegation. Former enemies have become allies in protection. Admiral Thexra's people now contribute more resources to child welfare programs than any other species in the galaxy. They understand that strength is measured not by how much you can destroy, but by how much you can protect. Admiral Thexra stood and bowed deeply toward the memorial wall. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of 5 years of dedicated service to the cause his species had once threatened. The Zephyrian Alliance formally requests renewal of our commitment to the Galactic Protection Treaty, he said. We pledge our fleets, our resources, and our lives to the defense of innocent life throughout the galaxy. We do this not out of fear, but out of understanding. The humans taught us that true strength comes from protecting those who cannot protect themselves. President Chen nodded graciously. The treaty is renewed for another 5 years, with the understanding that it will continue to grow as more species join our alliance. As the formal ceremony concluded, Jake walked back to the memorial wall where his son's name was carved. The surface was warm to the touch, powered by the same energy systems that protected the colony. Tommy's name glowed slightly brighter than the others, and Jake understood why. His son had been 15 when he died, trying to shield younger children from alien weapons. In the 5 years since, 15 had become the minimum age for enhancement consideration. Young people across the galaxy could choose to become protectors when they reached the age that Tommy had been when he made his final stand. He would have volunteered for enhancement, Sarah said softly, standing beside her father. I know, Jake replied. He always wanted to protect people. Even as a little boy, he would step between bullies and younger kids. It's like he was born to be a guardian. Colonel Omega approached them quietly. The enhanced soldier moved with the same fluid grace he had possessed since his transformation. But his expression had changed over the years. Where once there had been cold efficiency, now there was something warmer, purpose-fulfilled rather than duty-imposed. Your son's sacrifice wasn't wasted, Omega said to Jake. Every child who grows up safe in this galaxy owes their security partly to what happened here. Tommy and his friends showed us what we were fighting for. Jake nodded, though tears filled his eyes. Do you think they knew? When they were standing up to those alien soldiers, do you think they understood what their courage would lead to? Omega considered the question seriously. I think they understood the only thing that mattered. They saw children in danger and they chose to help. Everything else followed from that choice. As the sun set over New Kepler Colony, Jake Harrison stood with his daughter and the enhanced guardians who had changed the galaxy. The memorial wall continued to glow softly in the darkness, each name representing not just a life lost but a commitment gained. The boys who had died here had become more than victims. They had become the foundation for something unprecedented in galactic history. A civilization based on protection rather than conquest. Cooperation rather than domination. Their names would shine forever, reminding every generation that some things are worth any sacrifice, that children are precious beyond measure, that innocence deserves protection, even from those who have never learned to protect themselves. The galaxy was safer now because 100 human boys had stood up to impossible odds and shown the universe what courage really meant. Their legacy lived on in every enhanced guardian, every diplomatic treaty, every peaceful resolution of conflict. They had died as children, but they were remembered as the heroes who taught the galaxy how to protect its future. And in the enhanced soldiers who now stood watch over countless worlds, their spirit of protection continued forever, ensuring that no child would ever again face the terror that had come to Kepler 442b on that terrible day 5 years ago. The war was over. The protection had begun, and the galaxy would never forget the price of threatening humanity's children.